Few years ago, when I was younger and perhaps a bit too confident, I was walking through the woods. I know, perhaps not the brightest idea. I loved walking, especially down the beaten paths. It wasn't even dark, so I was pretty confident nothing bad would happen. But oh boy, was I wrong. I caught this sweet and overwhelming smell. So me, being the noisy person I am, I followed the smell wanting to see where it was coming from. Smart of me, I know, but stick with me. I didn't think much of it obviously. It was nice having a bit of course. I explored a little, taking in my surroundings, making my way through the lush grass. Looking back, some events are a bit out there, but I remember something clear as day. There was a dead body in front of me. My thoughts were racing 100 miles an hour. What the actual fuck did I stumble upon? I knew one thing though, it has been there for a while. The police was called and fast on their way. What followed next is a bit blurry. Looking back, I don't know what I was thinking. It was getting late and the path was remote, so I knew that it would take the police a long time to get there. It was already getting dark. Can you imagine being in the dark with a dead body? Not being able to leave because you're waiting for someone to show up, battery being low, and knowing damn well I can't just leave. I had to wait for what felt like an eternity. It was the worst few hours of my life, man. Eventually, they showed up. While waiting though, I had time to take in the scene. The body was decaying, guts and parts being shuffled around by wild animals. It was clear that it had been there for some time. The person had committed suicide, from what the police told me. Out there, alone, suffering a lot in the cold, windy path, far from anyone who could have helped them from who knows for how long. This should have put an end to the story, but damn it, I can still see him in my dreams. For a long time, I had vivid nightmares. The person I saw back all those years ago haunted me, telling me that I ruined it, that it was my fault, that I should end myself too. It was horrible. I had those nightmares for months afterward. Now and then I still get them, and I probably will for the rest of my life. I don't go out those parts anymore, and I don't go off the beaten path for sure. Just after COVID, a friend of mine and I decided we needed to get in touch with nature. And besides, the lockdown took a toll on us, so we decided to go on a few days hike to relax. We both took time off work and went out early one morning. The plan was simple: hike half the distance the first day, set camp for the night, and then arrive at our destination the second day, a river coming out of a campground. The first day came and went without a problem, and we hiked half the way. My friend tripped and almost fell a few times, so I was laughing my ass off. Until I actually fell. Then I wasn't laughing no more. Anyways, we were prepared and called it a day. At this point, we had hiked a bit more than halfway, so we were making good progress. We were planning to stay at the campground for a few days. However, day 2 had something else planned for us entirely. I opened the tent on the second day and almost shot myself. I saw 2 kids, one no older than 6, 7, waving at us. The other was a bit younger, perhaps 4 or 5. Mainly I collected myself and deducted that the kids were from a camp over the river, since there were a few. They were shivering from the cold, so we took care of them and brought them to their parents. At least nothing weird was going on, but damn did it scare me. You bet I wasn't the one opening the tent anymore. It was already night. I was comfortably sleeping in my tent in the woods, but at some point I needed to take a leak, so I got my sleeping ass up to do my business. It took me a moment, but I found my flashlight and opened the tent to go outside. It was pitch dark and the wind was blowing ever so slightly. I was heading a bit to the side to do my business when I was met face to face with a pair of eyes. My soul left my body, and I damn sure didn't have the need to be anymore. I was jolted awake, shining my light to the source of the eyes, and thankfully it was a piece of trash. I think it was a packet of crisps or something. Anyways, I took a moment to compose myself and tried to do my business, but I was so freaked out that I opted to go back in the tent. Not long after I closed the tent, a woman's scream pierced the night. It sounded like it was coming no further than a few meters away from me. I didn't know what the heck was going on, but I damn sure wasn't looking forward to finding out. I didn't have anything to protect myself with beside the pocket knife I had at my disposal. In this moment, I cursed myself, regretting not bringing anything more substantial for self-defense. At the end, nothing happened. I heard paw-like steps going further into the forest. It was probably a fox, but I didn't know they could make such noises back then. From that point on, I took my safety more seriously. A former colleague of mine took his boys, a 6 and a 4-year-old, to a very secluded trail. It was out there in the wild, far from people. He parked his truck. It was a sunny day, nothing out of the ordinary. They were making good progress, but at some point the dad decided that they cannot continue as it was too steep for the young boys. So they took a moment to rest and decided to head back. On the way down though, a few hundred meters away from the vehicle, the dad spotted there was a figure on the side of the truck. He watched the figure for a bit. It was looking around the vehicle and suddenly it climbed in the truck. Dad yelled at it to get out, but it didn't budge. However, the dad was prepared. He had brought his gun with him. He shot in the air, and that seemingly did the trick. The figure started backing off, though not without slashing two of the tires. The boys and the father waited for a moment so the figure would be far away. They kept walking with the dad on high alert. When they finally reached the truck, they assessed the damage. All tires were slashed, the fuel tank was breached, and the figure was making its way back to them. The father finally checked his phone for signal and saw that he barely had any, just enough to make a phone call. He called the police, and apparently they made it to him so fast that the figure didn't manage to reach him and his family. And scared away by the police, the mysterious figure got away. Yeah, no, this is supposed to be a true story, but it sounds a bit fishy to me. Like, how did the police get there so fast in such a remote area? And didn't they see a vehicle with which the figure made its way there? Also an important fact, for people who are watching who don't know, you don't need phone signal to call emergency services. It's just a harmful misconcept spread by movies. So if you're ever finding yourself haunted by this mysterious sketchy figure, call away freely. If you want to see more of the unsettling and creepy, you can watch my most recent video or this one that YouTube thinks you might like. Subscribe and like this video. Till next time.